Well, have I got a treat for you today on the Mindset Alchemy podcast? My awesome friend, Dr. Heather Browne, has come to share with us again. Heather, welcome. And I know how early it is for you. So thank you very much for being here and looking so gorgeous.
Oh, I am so honored to be here. You know how dear you are in my heart. So when you wanted to have me back, I was just absolutely thrilled to be here with your listeners.
Oh, Heather, you are just amazing. People, Dr. Heather's all over social media, TikTok, LinkedIn, go and find her. Facebook, go find her. You are going, after this interview, you're going to understand the reason I say this. Heather is a TEDx speaker. She's a psychotherapist. She has worked for, is it 23 years, Heather, with people, or am I?
27.
27. Oh my goodness. By the way, people, I think Heather must have started when she was 10 because you just look so glorious.
I turned
And
60 this year. I'm
yay!
60. Yeah.
I love it. Yes, 60 is a special age. It's wonderful. People, 50, I thought 50 was great. 60 is even better. Wait until we get to our 70s. We're going to really rock this place, Heather. With that, Heather is also the author of the most phenomenal book. People, it's coming out next week. Put it on your list, your wish to have list. I don't care what list you have on Kindle, at Barnes and Noble, wherever. Put it on your list. Honestly, it revolutionized my life doing the exercises, reading it. It's incredible. Heather, what created space for you to write this book?
Well, in being a psychotherapist for so many years and in specializing with couples, they come to me hurting. They come to me struggling. And what I just kept seeing more and more and more is that communication can be a love letter if you know how to approach it in that way. And if you know how to honor yourself and your partner and the communication going forward. And so in all these years of working with people, I just kept coming up with more and more ways to cultivate love that lasts and lasts. When we're in a relationship, we want it to be amazing and we want it to last forever. We want our partner to love us dearly always, and we want to love them dearly always. And
Mhm.
then something goes wrong and we don't know what to do to change that. So in all of these years of working with people, I've seen a lot of things you can do to change that trajectory, to get you back to the heart, to get you back to the center. And so that's what the book came out of. People have been asking me for years, like, where is a book that has all your exercises? They're little golden nuggets of love. And so I've compiled them all together to be able to reach people that I don't have the opportunity to meet with one-on-one. And it was time. It was time. Through COVID, through all that went on for people with social isolation and more separation between people, which I think is part of our pandemic problem, I wanted to have a way to really help people get back in touch with what is most important in love and in communication and relationship. So that's why I wrote it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Please share the title with our audience.
It's called Speaking with the Heart, and it's transform your communication and relationship with connection and compassion. And to me, that's the key. When we think about communication, we think about words. And words are a beautiful tool to describe what we're trying to convey from our feelings. But
Mhm.
when you start with words, because it's merely a description, it
Mhm.
doesn't have the depth. And that's why we say, you don't understand me, you don't understand me, you don't understand me. If you start with compassion first and
Mhm.
offer love and offer kindness to the extent that you're able to, and then work on connection with your partner. You're really important to me. I want this talk to go well. I'm a little scared, and build up that connection. Then when you share the words, they can be heard with the heart and they can be heard with the the alignment that you need to have. The reason so much goes off in our communication is because it's kind of like a text. It's left for the reader to completely try to interpret it. And we're wrong a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you realize that words are this beautiful tool to assist, but simply to assist the feelings, the emotions, the part of you that is unique. If I say blue, you say blue. But what is our experience of blue?
Mm.
It's very
Yeah.
different. And so
Which,
those are some of the things that I try to help readers learn and explore so that though their partner can never really crawl into their heart and know what they feel, they at least can have a lot more compassion
mm,
and connection with what their partner is saying, and then also see their possibility in supporting, uplifting, encouraging,
mm.
and nudging where it is desired for your partner to be their best as well.
What really struck me was how, because the listeners know I love words. To me, words are so important. They're a strong indication of our thinking. I loved how you explained how our body language, our tone of voice, our expressions back that up. Could you share a bit around that? Because yes, words are vital. And I love the exercises you gave with that. They were so powerful of how to
Absolutely.
pivot the thought and the pivot. That was amazing. I've actually used several of those myself.
Good.
It's been wonderful. How important is our tone when we say the words, our face and our body language?
Well, let's just play with that a little bit. So if I say, and you know this with a dog, if you say, I love you, or you say, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
you say, I love you, or if you say, I love you, so
Mm-hmm.
much, so much. It's part of the reason I have never wanted to do um, email therapy.
Yeah.
I'll do Zoom. You had to during COVID. I'll do Zoom, but even phone,
Yeah.
it's easy, but I will encourage my clients to not, because if I can look into their eyes, if I can see what's going on in their face, and I'm trained in this, so I look for little things. And with a couple, like I look where they sit,
Mm-hmm.
how are their arms, how are their legs, are
Mm-hmm.
they leaning in, are they covering themselves up? Do they start to come into alignment? Do they start to match each other? So I'll look for these things and I'll comment. I'll say, I noticed you kind of closed yourself off just there with your arms and your legs. Would
Mm-hmm.
you share with me what's going on? And most people don't even realize it.
I love
And
that.
so
Yes.
I help them tap into, well, yeah, I'm not really feeling safe right now.
Yeah.
Super important information to know. And so our bodies,
Mm.
because our bodies are the conveyor of our feelings, of our experience, of our thought, they're a massive guide to
Mm.
what's going on because we're trying to protect ourselves, or we're trying to connect with the other, or we're trying to run away. And our body is the vehicle to do that. And
Mm.
so there's clues that are going on. I um I invite I invite fear, hesitation,
Mm-hmm.
restriction, all of that, because when you find out what that is, instead of running away from it, it's a beautiful opportunity to love on whatever is there that needs a little bit more care. And so if somebody starts to become angry, I'll go right into it and say, like, I can tell you're getting really upset. So something that has gone on that has upset you. Where have you
Mm-hmm.
not been heard or
Yes.
respected? And then
Mm-hmm.
we get down to what most people do is they run away from a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I do the opposite. I try to create a safe container so the problem can dissipate so we can find the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I do in my book by helping people ask questions you never ask. How is the best way for me to support you when you're mad?
Mm-hmm.
Couples don't know. How is the best way for me to support you when you're sad? Couples don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do if you've had a horrible day at work? And then even in the moment asking, how could I love you right now?
Yes.
Is there
Beautiful.
anything I can do that could support you in what you're going through?
Mm.
There's a connection that's important with body, with intention, with
Mhm.
tone. with I, with word. And the more we learn to be in alignment within our body, within ourself, the more we can use that. I'm pulling way back. Important for me to know. My head's going off and spinning. Important for me to say, you know what, I'm losing you right now. I'm losing you right now because I'm off in a different thought. Give me a moment to come back. Would you please repeat what you were saying again? Yeah. We're not taught, and I don't know why. I did this podcast yesterday, and the gentleman was so cute. He said, literally, Heather, you should be in every single high school.
I agree
You
with
would
him.
a class in
Yeah.
every single high school in the world and say, okay, let's really explore communication and let's really explore relationship and connection and what it can be. He said, why have we not been taught these things? I'm like, I don't know. We just start babbling as a baby, and then we're very early told lots of rules like you must you must not be selfish, you must care for other people, don't create a problem. So we have all these restrictions on ourselves, and I think we lose our own internal connection. And then the question starts to become, well, I'm only okay if you think I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's massively problematic in a relationship. And so looking at these things and getting back in communication with yourself, learning how to communicate with your partner, they're all vital to be able to do this life well.
Heather, I found just the questions you were using helped me to come back to myself, to know how to support myself in order to be able to support my partner. And it's all part of personal leadership, which, as you know, I'm passionate about. It's that personal leadership that helps us step forward into what you're talking about. And I absolutely agree. Your book should be a textbook in all the schools run by people who understand it. I find that it's absolutely incredible. I absolutely adore that you brought in the love languages and attachment styles. What is your experience around this, which is vast? People, again, make sure you get the book. The notes will be in the show notes.
Well, attachment style is something that's becoming more and more known, fortunately. Because if you think about it, you're born into a family, you know, whether it's biological, whether it's foster, whatever it is, but you're born into your environment. And then depending upon how you are treated, that's going to determine the way you view the world. And so if I'm loved and adored and taken care of, it's going to be a whole lot easier for me to be in this world. If I'm left alone in a crib and attended to once in a while, my first view of the world is not going to be that it's really warm and comforting. It probably sporadic, haphazard. Sometimes I get listened to, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get fed, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get changed. If it's chaotic, and there's a lot of little babies that are born into families that screaming, yelling, drug addiction, you know, homeless situation where who knows what's going to go on. There's a place of recognizing that your first experience of you in this world is shaped by your environment. Now, as a child, we need to feel that mommy and daddy are safe, because otherwise we're in huge trouble. And so when there's problems, the child starts to make it their fault, their responsibility. And then, of course, as we get older, we realize, no, it wasn't. But we have to be at the place where we're able to actually govern our own life to come to that place of awareness. But as a child, depending upon how you've been raised, that's going to depend how you look at the world. So when I learned about attachment styles and I did it, when I take the test, I am secure. And I also know as I take the test, I am anxious.
Yes.
The test says, no, I'm secure. And I am. Deep down, I still come from anxious attachment. And I felt embarrassed. I felt a little uncomfortable with myself that would be my reality. And then the more I read about it, I thought, oh, dear Lord, Heather, you know, my mom was a paranoid schizophrenic alcoholic who killed herself. I was disowned at 17. I have a whole lot of reasons to be anxious. And so when you see somebody who's closed off, reserved, doesn't really communicate well, most of us will say, gosh, what's wrong with that person?
Mhm.
If you will let yourself remember or know that they came into the world in a way that has started to create who they are, that person probably was left alone a lot,
Yeah.
was not engaged with, doesn't really see a benefit to connect with other people. When you see the person who's kind of frantic and chaotic, and your thought might be, oh my gosh, woman, like get control. What is wrong with you? But if you have compassion, she probably wasn't raised in a safe environment. And so she's trying to make certain everything's okay.
Yeah.
Then you can receive people differently. So
Mhm.
we can grow through our attachment styles and we can heal a lot of it. But we
Mhm.
also came into the world with the one we came into for a reason. And it's important to embrace that and to not, there's so much in the world where we talk about hating part of ourselves or killing our ego or,
Hate that.
cutting off parts of our bodies. And there's so much that's about hatred to who we are. And to me, anytime you're hating any aspect of who you are, you're not going to come into a place of healing. It's an embracing all of who you are, including your attachment style. And then love languages are how we most receive love, how we most would want to receive love, how we give love. And
Yes.
so when you see those and see how they play in your life and what you're drawn to, and it's important to find out what your partner is drawn to, because it's not going to be the one that you are. And so you can ask questions. What have I done that touched you the most? What did you love the most? What's the thing I could do for you that you would like more than anything else? Something I see with couples, which is it's interesting and it's unfortunate that when we receive love that's not in the way that we most want to receive love,
Mhm.
we reject it,
Yes.
or we kind of, shoo it away.
Brush it
Well,
off.
I didn't want that. Instead of saying, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the fact that you brought me a salad.
Mhm.
I ordered soup. Could I have soup also? So there's a place of not rejecting what is given to you, and then you end up just having so much more. And also the huge place is realizing people in your life want to come through for you for the most part.
Mhm.
It's up to you to let them know how you would like that to happen.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to guide people in our life, how to love us well, where we feel loved well, and how to do the same for them. Love languages are so much fun because if you are aware of them all and you know what the people in your life enjoy, like you just can come through really well. And then there's a beautiful thing that I call couples to do, which is join them. So I'm a widow. So my husband's was physical touch, mine is special moments. And so I would say, how about we go sit under the stars and I
Yes.
will rub your back?
Love
And he
it.
would say, okay. So we would join our love languages. And then it didn't feel like to me like, oh, here I go. I have to rub his back again. Now I have to rub his feet. I'm always taking care of him. Why doesn't he ever take care of me? But he didn't really care if we sat under the stars or not.
Mhm.
I did. And little things like I'd light candles. I'd have music playing. I would bring bubbles. I'd say, let's have champagne. I would turn it into a little bit more of a celebration. And I'd have pretty napkins. I would just, I'd use ribbons on things or I'd put little presents in places. Like I like those little goofy things. So there was a way to tie them together. And then that way you're loving yourself and your partner. And it's a
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful combination. And most couples don't realize the strength of that. They say, well, I gave you what you wanted. When's my turn? Like, oh, let's give us what we want.
Yes.
If
It's
you think
mutually
about a family
beneficial.
cuddle, think
Yes.
about a family cuddle on a bed. Think
Yes.
about it. You're tickling, you're hugging, you're laughing, you're holding. Like there's so much going on. Special moments, physical touch, words of affirmation, gift of love. If you will, act of service, maybe not. But if you think about a family cuddle, that's a beautiful way of celebrating connected love. And
Mhm.
you can do that in your relationship so
Mm.
wonderfully if you're just aware. So in my book, I guide you through how to do that because
Oh,
it's a
that's beautiful.
fun thing to do every day.
Mm-hmm. I love that you use the word aware. What does awareness mean for you? And before I forget, people look out for where Dr. Heather speaks about her giraffe. I think it was a pink giraffe. I have no desire to spoil it for everyone. That
Gertrude.
really, really touched my heart like nothing else. It was so profound. So people make sure you look out for it was Gerard Giraffe. I think what was Jerry?
Gertrude. Her name was Gertrude.
Gertrude. I wrote it down, but I can't. Yeah, Gertrude. And that for me was very impactful. So people look out for that because it absolutely gives you a key to what Dr. Heather was speaking about here. Now, awareness brings forward triggers. Would you like
Mm.
to share a bit about triggers? And people, the exercises will really help you with your triggers in a very positive way.
Triggers are so important because triggers are a gift to you in the present moment that you have a possibility to heal. But
Okay.
before you could be triggered, you weren't in touch enough to receive the information. And so it was just part of like, this is a mess, this is a mess, this is a mess, this is all awful, this is all bad. When you have a trigger, it's very specific. And so it's a feeling that you have of fear, dread, anger, resentment, where something that's going on in the present moment is connecting you, reminding you for a past wound that has happened either with that person or with somebody else. But it feels hurtful, painful, and
Mhm.
familiar. And so
Mhm.
your response is bigger than if it was a solo incident because
Mhm.
it's tying to a place where you were hurt in the past.
Yeah.
Part of you knows that because triggers feel very different than just an experience that's happening right now. Like it goes right to your, like it goes right to your gut. So when you have that feeling, there's a place to realize, okay, this is important and this is big. This is not only me being able to help myself right now, but there's something that this is tied to before. So if you can, you want to take a little space to yourself and ask yourself, what is this reminding me of? You're
Yep.
probably going to go to my past relationship, my mom or my dad, a teacher,
Mhm.
something, someone who was significant to you. And when you can find out the tie between it, it's a little easier to help you walk through it. Ask yourself, what do I need right now to feel safe? When you are triggered, you 100% do not feel safe, either with the person, with the situation, and definitely not within yourself. So you want to take some time to help yourself ground, center, honor what you're feeling. It doesn't mean you're going to stay with that fear forever. If you might say, no, this isn't what I thought it was. But take a little moment to honor what is coming up within you, because that's going to guide you for what you need. And
Yep.
if you are feeling too uncertain about pursuing with the person, tell them, like, you know what? I need to take some time with this. I just need to take some time with this. If you can ask yourself, what am I fearful of happening? Where am I scared?
Mhm. Mm.
And instead of getting lost there, when you're ready, you can come back to the person that you're talking with and ask for what you need to feel stronger with them.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about this. I really need to know that you're going to stay and listen.
Oh.
Or if you're not open to this conversation, I need you to tell me because otherwise I don't want to share with you. There's a place for you to build up a little bit more of your structure so you
Mm.
feel a little bit more solid and secure.
Mm.
You do not have to share yourself with others
Mhm.
if it's not safe. And you do not have to stay if
Yep.
someone is not safe. But a
Yep.
trigger is telling you there's some work to do for you to feel safe right now, and you
Yeah.
want to listen to that. What we tend to do is say, you triggered me. And then we blame the person we're with for our internal experience.
Yeah.
And we also get blamed for what happened to us before that we're triggered with.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And then the person comes back and says, well, I didn't trigger you. I didn't, cheat on you. That was your ex. And then it turns into a fight instead
Mhm.
of recognizing this is your body saying you're ready for something different right now. If you can take care of yourself through this. And then
Mm.
what you will find is you will be less and less and less and less triggered. And then one day you're going to say, wow, that didn't hardly even impact me. Because you will have helped yourself heal in the present
Mhm.
the memory of the wound from your past. And that is glorious. I
Yes.
can't change what happened, but I can know I no longer will let myself be in that kind of situation if I have any control over it
Mhm.
now. Yeah.
I love that you spoke about the pause, and what I'm hearing there is you opening yourself up for the gift of the pause. Can you expand a bit on the pause? Because to me, that is one of the most important tools.
Yeah. And it comes out, it was such a profound moment for me. So my mom was 3 hours late to pick me up from high school, and I'm 60. So there weren't cell phones, there weren't answering phones. It was a pay phone, and if the person wasn't home, it would just ring and ring and ring and ring. Pouring rain. I got really mad. With my mom not being mentally solid, that's not a wise thing to do. And I know my mom loved me dearly in her ability to love me. So where my head went in those 3 hours was truly completely not appropriate for the kind of woman she was. But
Mm.
I went there. She doesn't love me. She doesn't care. She didn't want to come out because it's pouring rain. So when she finally showed up, I opened up the station wagon door and I let loose. Where
Mhm.
were you? And I'm going to fail my test. And I just vomited all over her. And then she looked at me and she said, I just stopped my best friend from killing herself.
Wow. Oh, I've gone cold.
Yeah. And her best friend was also her lover, which
Wow.
I kind of intrinsically knew.
Mm.
Horror, shame, fear, regret all flooded me. Mom, I'm so sorry. Nope. Mom, nope. She would not talk to me, not for the rest of the day, not for the rest of the night. The next day, it would not be talked about. Like I had passed some sort of mortal wound that we were never going to explore again, which I don't think was great parenting in that moment, because I was a 16-year-old kid who was sopping wet. And it would have been nice if like she could have recognized that too. But what I
Mhm.
did was completely inappropriate. She killed herself a couple of months later. Was that part of the reason why she did? I don't know. But I did not help at all that night. And if I had just opened up the car door and said, what happened?
Mhm.
She would have said, oh my gosh, Heather, I just stopped Mary Lou from killing herself. And I could have loved on my mom. She could have loved on me. And we could have helped each other in the healing process. Now, listeners, I want you to think about this. When your head is racing, you're asking questions. Why haven't you called? Where are you? How could you think this is okay? What does this even mean? It's all questions.
Mm.
You don't have the answers. And so you know intrinsically that you want them,
Yeah.
and it's important that you receive them. But you've got to let yourself get the answers. What I did was blast her. Where were you? Why didn't you think about me? You're so late. I can't even believe you did this. I'm going to fail my test. I was throwing out all my questions, but I was
Mm.
throwing them out as an attack.
Mm.
I wasn't leaving any space for the answer. So if
Mm.
you simply say, like, I don't know what the hell is going on, but what happened? And
Mm.
then wait for the person to say, probably 90% of the time, they're going to come back with, I am so sorry, or please forgive me, or my cell phone died, or I forgot. My mom could have said, I sat at home because it was pouring rain and ate bonbons and didn't care about you. Like that could have been her answer, but it wasn't. And I treated her like it was. So if you've been wronged, give yourself the respect and dignity to hear what's happened.
Yeah.
And the pause is the best way to do it. And we do not do that. We attack, we blame, and you've all done this. And then you say, like, whatever you said, like, you didn't even call, you didn't even care about me. And the person says, honey, 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 my cell phone was stolen. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And then you try to make it okay, but you've just said these, you don't love me, I don't want to be with you. You said all these horrible things, and you've made it so much worse. When you come to a situation where you're really upset, just ask the other person, what happened? What do you need to tell me? What's going on? Now, you're at that place where your brain's about to go to attack, but you wait for your partner or your friend or your boss or your child to fill you in on their part. So it's not solely you. I was solely me in how I handled with my mom. And it is one of those moments that I think, damn, I guess I had to learn this to share this with the world. But my poor mom.
Let's also add you were only 16.
Yes. And that's a place where I think, like, dear God, woman, like, help me in this. Don't just, hurt me. But
Yeah,
she was too wounded. She was too
Yeah.
wounded. Yeah.
There's many times you helped your mom as well. Heather, that brings me to the point that you raise, which I'm quite passionate about, especially from well, anyway, we won't go into that. Staying in your body. Many people are unaware that they leave their body when they're in distress or trauma. What helped you understand this grounding perspective?
Oh, it took me a really long time.
Thank
So,
you for your honesty.
and I'm still working on it every single day
Me
because I'm out of my
too.
body. I'll say, oh, I'm in the atmosphere. I love being in the atmosphere.
Yes.
I love being like in the stars and in the heavens and with God and, with the angels. I love that. And I have to say, Heather, you're human. Come on back. So like I'm in and out quite a bit. In meditation, I'm all out, which I love. But what happened, and I talk about it in my book, is I was freshman year of college and a girl named Susan, bless her heart, said to me, how does it feel to be perfect? And I looked at her like, what? And she said, you're brilliant. You're beautiful. You're highly successful, because I was the lead in the play, and everybody likes you. And I looked at her and I said to her, my mom killed herself. I'm disowned by my dad. This was in 1981. I'm $10,000 in personal debt for this school year, which is probably equal to like 80 in today's dollars.
Sure.
And in a month, it's Thanksgiving, and I have nowhere to go, and the dorm is closed, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I just broke, sobbing, snot everywhere, crying everywhere. Poor Susan. She asked me a simple question. Dear Lord, had a mental breakdown on her. And bless her heart, she stayed with me through that whole night. I don't think she ever talked to me again, and I don't blame her. But I had a really huge awareness that day. I was not being who I was. And I was a really good actress. And I realized I am going to be unbelievably lonely in this world if I don't start to really be who I am and figure out who I am.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Heather was, because I think I had put it on myself, but my role in my head had been keep your mom alive, bring joy and happiness to your mom so the world sees seems better, so she'll stay in this reality longer. So
Mhm.
like I was laughter, I was joy, all the things you see in me now, I was still that, but I was that and not the integrated self. So I was
Yes.
joy, I was laughter, I was happy. I was like, let me make you happy, let me make you laugh, let me love on you, let me just make your life beautiful. So mommy, you will stay alive here.
Mm.
And so in college, I had to realize I didn't know who the hell I was. And so I went into a dark depression and I went and saw a psychiatrist. And thank God I did. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. And that then started the lifelong path of me learning to be me,
Mm.
which I'm still learning because it changes all the time. Like now I'm me, widowed with my children, adults.
Mhm.
That's a whole new me because I'm a mom. I was a wife for all these years. So pretty soon I'm going to be learning the role of, now I'm an author and people are coming up to me with my book. Like that'll be a new reality for me to learn.
Mhm.
Hopefully a relationship sometime in this year I'm asking the universe for. So like we come to who we are in each
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm.
And that's part of us recognizing and understanding, oh, who am I now? Who am
Yep.
I now? And as we age, it's fascinating of experiencing the differences in the body.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
now I need to do this. I can't see very well without my contacts. So in the morning, I know I need to put my contacts in. Didn't used to
Yeah.
have to do that 15 years ago.
Yes.
I get up a little bit more
Yeah.
carefully. I went on a 7-mile hike with my kids recently, and they're
Yeah.
both incredibly fit. And at the end of the hike, they said, Mom, you can do it. You can do up and down. Like you're awesome. You are a
Love
mountain
it.
goat. But dear God, you're slow.
What
Listen,
about being a non-judgmental?
and I said, I think I probably need hiking boots instead of tennis shoes. And they're like, yeah. And they said, I think you need hiking poles. I'm like, you know what? I probably do. But there's the place where we keep shifting.
Yes.
And if you realize that, then there's that beautiful place of celebration of, well, hello, me.
Yes.
Who am I now? And how do I honor you? And how do I take care of you? And how do
Mm.
I love on you? And
Yeah.
how do I nurture you? And how do I
Yes.
celebrate you? How do I help today be the greatest day that it could be? And how do I love wherever I am in my experience as much as I can and help myself endure those places that are so unbelievably hard to try to either just get through or get the support that's going to bless me?
Yeah.
We're not, I think it's coming out more and more now, especially as more and more people awaken, but we're not really told how to, like, no one can tell you. It's not really encouraged to find out who you are
Mm-hmm.
and to do things in the way that is best for you. We're supposed to fit into these little boxes. And so I find it fascinating that people are rejecting the boxes that they are in, but in doing so, they're creating another box. I
Mm-hmm.
heard this wonderful, wonderful podcast with Esther Perel, who she's an icon to
Amazing
me.
lady. Mm.
She's amazing. Oh, I would love to meet her someday. I'm such a huge believer in the way that she works and how she honors people. And the young girl, word girl, the woman, the individual who was with her and the mother refused to give herself a pronoun. She would only go by her name. And Esther was having a little bit of a hard time, like I just did, but I wanted to say her, she, And I thought about that and I thought, oh, she's tapped into something that I think is actually brilliant because there isn't a her, she, he, them, we. There's Heather, just Heather. There's Janine. Janine. There is no other Janine. So when we try to put ourselves into these places to define us, it doesn't. Because you and I are very similar in a lot of ways, and we'll be in the same box in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, we're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so this individual gave herself the opportunity to say, I am me.
Mm-hmm.
And deep in my heart, I just kind of go, if we were to know that, if we were to really allow that to be our truth, so much of this gobbledygook that we get into wouldn't happen. I had a gentleman who came to me and he just wanted to fit in.
Mm.
And when he told me that, like in my head, something started to go. And I'm always like, okay, insight's about to come. And I said to him, well, there really is no way to do that.
Yep.
Because if you're fitting in, it basically just means there's a commonality.
Yeah.
We walk our dogs, so we're the
Mm.
dog walkers. So in a way, we fit in. It's just a commonality.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize that when you do that, there's going to be places of, yes, we have dogs. Well, I have a cat. Well, then I can't be in that group. But I also have a dog. Okay, then maybe I'm in that group. But I'm not the same as everybody else in that group because I also have a cat. Maybe you don't have a cat. So like it starts to create all this dissension. If we would really allow ourselves to find like, who is Heather?
Yes.
Who is Lisa? Who is John? Who is Sonia? And really all that matters is who you are to you, because you're the only person you're going to be walking with your whole life. And one thing I think is so fascinating, and of course it's an obvious truth, but we don't think about it. You will communicate with yourself more than anybody else in your
Yep.
entire lifetime.
Yeah.
So how the heck are you communicating with you?
Mm-hmm.
That's been a place of me really taking a lot of special, precious time to ask myself, is this in love? Is this for love?
Yeah.
Is this through love? Because if it's not, I am not giving myself or the world the best
Mm-hmm.
me. And since my experience, like attachment styles, starts with my experience of my attachment to my thoughts, my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
however I step into today will 100% impact the conversation. If I came to you fearful and uncertain, then I'm going to view you judgmental,
Yeah.
though you might not be at all. So my thought is, well, gosh, I would like the world to love me and receive me. And so I would like to do the same for others. And so then that starts with, well, then Heather, start right with you. And then when you do that, it's really easy to receive everybody else
Yeah.
because it's just, we're just all in this together. Like I've been parts of you and you've been parts of me. There's so many times where you start to see like, I've done that. That is me. I'd like to be more like that. I recognize that.
Recognition without comparison is so important, though, on that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of fitting in, filling in. That's
Mm.
so much more so why I think we're here
Mm.
and we
So
lessen it.
it's so interesting because I was talking to somebody and I was listening to a podcast and they were saying the difference is, are you choosing to fit in or are you choosing to belong? Fitting in is where you make yourself into who other people expect you to be. And like you were saying, commonalities. And belonging is where you can be yourself in flow with others, whether you have the same things as them, you then complete each other's puzzles. Whereas fitting in, you different pieces of different puzzles and you're trying to make a puzzle. And then you're surprised when they don't fit together. And I really saw that in your book, how you were helping people with the belonging, especially in tough times. And I loved what you were saying about play. That was just so amazing. That was for me just so special. Would you like to share a bit on that? And then we will be having to, this will be our last question.
Sure. So part of being in a relationship is fun, is pleasure, is turning each other on, is excitement, is curiosity. It's getting us back into that little kid that wants to play and dabble and all of that. And it's really important that you're looking at that in your life. Like, how much are you playing? And we can always play more. And how do we bring it in? You want to do it in a way that honors your partner. Like, if I don't like sarcasm, I'm not going to want my partner to always be sarcastic. So there's ways to understand each other's humor, but you probably chose someone who tapped into yours because that's part of why you choose your partner. When you're doing your work with your relationship, people forget to play. And
Yeah.
so much of what is not working is simply that. If
Yeah.
you look at children, if they have a healthy enough environment, they play, they have fun. They kind of get through their anger on the playground. You know, it doesn't last for a really, really long time. And part of that is because they want to enjoy. And so I just throw out a whole bunch of ideas because people will come to me. They don't even know what to do. And I'm like, wait, what? They don't know how to have a date anymore. They don't know how to flirt. They don't know how to turn each other on. They don't know how to plan. They don't know how to joke. And I thought, oh, let me make it easy for you. So I just threw out a ton of ideas. I threw out flirty tacks. I throw out playful games because play is such an important part. And when someone does something for you that feels magical, special, you feel magical and special. There's so many exercises that can ignite that. I want to do something at some point, and I'll do it, or it'll be maybe, I don't know, a couple years down the road, but you know, the idea of having a box that's the whole date and have games and activities and questions to ask and sexual little play things to suggest. And because I think we get so caught up in doing life that we forget that really important component. And for me, that's been like one of the parts I like the most about me is that I'm fairy. I play. I
Yes.
celebrate the silly little things, but to me, that's what makes life beautiful.
Oh, it
Play.
does. It does. It's people, you must go and look at Dr. Heather's TikToks. She has beautiful ones, ducks and flowers and
They're
ponds.
goofy.
And I love them. It just absolutely, it gives me so much pleasure, Heather, because like you say, we forget the small things. We forget to play. Luckily, I have a Labrador who will bring me his smelly hoof so we can play. He's
What a
very good
lovely
reminder.
gift. Yeah.
From him, yes.
Well, and that to me, if you're going to do this life, and since we all are, and if you're going to be in relationship, my gosh, it needs to be enjoyable. It needs to be pleasurable. You need to be lifting each other up because it's hard to be human in this world. And so play and light and fun, that's where creativity is. That's where
Yes.
magic is. And so
Mm.
many couples get into kind of like a fuddy-duddy routine and they forget that. And they think it's exhausting and overwhelming to do it. And it's not,
Mm.
it's very simple. However, sometimes we need a little bit of help. So I have a whole chapter with suggestions and gifts and ideas and explorations to make it easier for you.
And
So
people, there's a lot of fun in it. Heather, I'm very
exactly.
sad to say that our time has come here on the podcast, has come to a close. What would you like to leave the audience with, including the name of your book again?
Absolutely. So it's called Speaking with the Heart, and it will be on Amazon and Barnes & Noble next week. You can also go to my website where all the information is there as well. And there's lots of freebies on my website. It's kind of like the hub of Heather, so it connects you to all the social media. The thing that I would like to leave your audience with is as you turn off from this, just take a little moment, give yourself a little hug and say, today I'm going to play with myself a little bit. Today
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to enjoy me and my experience of me in this world just a little bit more and see how it feels. And I'd love to know how that shifts things just a little bit. So it's a little bit more pleasurable of an experience for you. And then anytime you think about it, and every time you think about it, do that again. How can I
Beautiful.
love myself right now? How can
Yeah.
I be grateful for who I am right now?
Wow, that is so powerful. Heather, thank you again. People, remember to check out the show notes so you can get Heather's book, so that you can listen to Heather's TED Talk, which is phenomenal, absolutely brilliant, and go and find Heather. And I highly recommend you subscribe to Heather's email list. It's worth every single moment of reading it. Heather, again, thank you so, so much.
You're
People,
such a gift. I'm so grateful to know you.
likewise, it was such a beautiful thing that we connected there on Facebook.
Yes.
People, come and find us on social media. Let us know how you enjoyed the podcast. Please like and share, and have a grand, glorious, and phenomenal day.
Yes.
Remember, make time to play.